man, I'm telling you, the number of mistakes that I made when I was young in business that I wish I could actually take back, they would have been fixed by doing this sort of thing. And it's a very, very easy hack. So I get a lot of questions about influence when it comes to being an entrepreneur. And of course, since entrepreneurship is close to my heart and I've started a lot of companies, I want to talk about them. So beginning with the end in mind matters. So for me, there were some companies that I started because the work was just really necessary to help people, and even some non-for-profits where I didn't actually sell them, but I gave them away or rolled them into other things. But then there are other ones where I started and I said, hey, I want to build something of value, provide a product that is good for all sorts of people, but I want to sell it. And I want to sell it for a lot of money. And I was able to do that. Now, in every circumstance, whether it was something more philanthropic or whether it was something that had an end in mind financially, there were four things that I had to ask myself that you need to ask yourself about your organization in order to expand and move your influence throughout that organization. Hey, by the way, if you're getting something out of the podcast here, make sure that you subscribe, turn on notifications, and share with a friend. Our channel is really building. We're coming up on 200,000 subscribers right now and 4 million views. Why? Because of you. Make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you like this, comment too, and turn on notifications. And the first one, and by the way, yes, these do come from Meeting Giants. I'm on page 83. For what purpose was this made? The company, the product, the service, the meeting, the agenda. So one of the things that I talk about is the transcendentals. There are transcendental desires that we all have. These are universal desires: goodness, truth, beauty, and unity. There are more, but those are the main ones. These actually hold a very practical principle with inside entrepreneurship and building a great business. And they're very, very easy. They might sound esoteric and kind of fancy, but I want to tell you right now, if you're like, hey man, I just want to start a business and I want to make sure that it rocks, you can use these. Why? Because they're already part of who you are. We all want unity, goodness, truth, and beauty. We want all of those things. So if your business is built with that sort of culture and that sort of mentality, you're going to get a great result. And it's a very, very easy hack. It's not esoteric. Okay, and I'm going to make it simple. I'm going to make it practical. Because, man, I'm telling you, the number of mistakes that I made when I was young in business that I wish I could actually take back, they would have been fixed by doing this sort of thing. For what purpose was it made? That is actually the definition of goodness. So what does a transcendental mean, the transcendental desires? Nobody ever says, you know what, I've had enough beauty. I'm done with it. I'm full on beauty. Give me some ugliness now. We have a desire for it that never ends. Why does that matter? Because if you have something beautiful in your organization by way of the product or the service, the way you treat customers, the way your culture is, you're going to attract tons of people and it's not going to go away. Always ask yourself that question. How can I make this more beautiful? And you're going to come up with great answers. But goodness is another one. People don't know how to define goodness. Goodness is very simple. If somebody says that's good, it's because the thing that you created met the objective and purpose of the person who created it. So for example, and some people immediately go to God and they say, okay, he created the world and it was good. Yes, that's true, okay? But what we're talking about here is even simpler. You're the creator of the upcoming meeting that you have to balance the budget. How do you know it's a good meeting? You balance the budget. It's that simple. Hey, Bob, how was the meeting? Good? Really? Tell me about it. Well, we decided to balance the budget, and we did. It was a good meeting. You ask yourself this question, though. Could it have been more beautiful? I know that sounds a little weird to ask, but when you ask that question, it totally changes the dynamic of the meeting. And you say, yeah, you know what? We could have had it an earlier time. Speakers could have been more prepared. Actually, the way the agenda was laid out was kind of a disorganized, and lunch was horrible. We could make this a better and more beautiful meeting. And that would actually make it not just good, but better. We could balance it faster. We could balance it more efficiently. We could actually weed out certain things so you can make it better. By asking yourself the question, how do we make it more beautiful? And I know it sounds a little bit strange, but these are simple hacks. As much as they sound maybe a little, philosophical, they're very practical. So for what purpose was this made? Know the outcome. This meeting was made to balance the budget. And all we did was talk about what we did on the weekend. All we did was complain about our marketing plan. That's a bad meeting. Okay? Why did you actually hire this person to do this particular job? Did they do the job? No. Then they're not doing a good job. It's very simple. You hired the person to be in sales. They're supposed to get 3 appointments every single day. Did they get 3 appointments every day? No. How'd they do? Bad. Why? Because they didn't do good. It's pretty much maybe, or not so good. Maybe they got 2 appointments. That's not so good. But then. So pay attention to that. For what purpose was it made? Know that going into everything. Second thing, what priorities should we focus on? So in every single role that there is in your organization, you need to be able to basically pick the top 3. And this is what I call self-management, but it's very, very important. Your job is this. Without me as your boss or your manager or supervisor telling you, I want you on your own to know whether or not you've done a good job. You've done a good job if these 3 things are complete at this standard every single day. No one needs to tell you you did a good job if you did those things. If you did not do them, you haven't done a good job. The purpose of this job is to do this. In order for that to be done, or in order for that to be good, for you to do a good job, it needs to meet the purpose of the person who developed the job. I developed the job. This is what is required for it to be good. Do these things and you'll never wonder, am I doing a good job? Am I a candidate for being promoted? Are they happy with me here? You will know. Now, obviously, as a good leader, you'd want to recognize them. You'd want to thank them. You'd want to shower praise among them and create a good culture. But you want them to know on their own if they're doing a good job. Then you reinforce it, but that's how you do that. The third thing is, how will we go about it? Okay? So this is how you break down the tasks, timelines, and what people are going to go about it. So if you're going to build a business, you have to say, well, for what purpose was this entire company made? This company was made so that we can put really high quality gutters on all of the homes in Mayberry. That's why it was made. That's why we did this, okay? What priorities should we focus on? Well, right now, because we're founding the business, we have to focus on where we're going to get our supplies, finding good installers, and finding people to market and sell the product. So those are our 3 priorities. How will we go about that? Well, I have a relationship with this particular person that owns a company. I can talk to them about their vendors. I'm going to be able to emulate this marketing plan that I see right there, okay? I have one other partner with me. We're going to break down the tasks by Wednesday at 2 o'clock, we're going to have another meeting, and he's going to have the answers to these questions. I'm going to have the answers to these questions. We're going to refine again, and we break these things down. So for what purpose was it made? Put great gutters in every single home at a reasonable price here in Mayberry. What priorities should we focus on? Procurement, marketing, sales. Okay, how are we going to go about it? We're going to assign these tasks to these particular people with particular timelines, and we're going to break them down. What will we do to stay on pace, finish on time, and measure our progress? In other words, how do we know we're getting close to completing the goal? It's nothing worse than when you set out and have a meeting and you have a bunch of objectives in the meeting, and then you come back 1 month later to a follow-up meeting and nobody did anything. Why didn't they do anything? Because they didn't know what priorities they're going to focus on, because they didn't know how they're going to go about it. They didn't break it down by tasks, timelines, and people, and they did not put like benchmarks along the way each week and each day to know whether or not they've gotten there. So it's a really simple thing. If you want to walk 100 steps in 100 days, you know that you need to either take a break every 10 days and walk 10 steps or walk 1 step every day for 100 days. You break it down that way so you know, so you're not surprised at the end. This is the difference between goal setting and goal guessing. If your goal is to get 100 Christmas cards out by December 10th and it's December 1st, you got to do 10 a day. It's that simple. Now, if all of a sudden you recognize that it's December 9th and you have 0 cards out, you can do what most people do and they say, well, I'm going to readjust my goal and I'm going to make it December 20th. That was never a goal in the first place. That was a guess. That's goal guessing. That is not saying for what purpose was this made. Well, the purpose of getting the Christmas cards out is to shower love amongst friends and family and to share a little bit of your life and the joy of Jesus' birth. That's why you're doing that. That's a big priority. When you think of it that way, you're a little bit more motivated. What priorities should we focus on? Well, every single day after dinner, I'm going to make sure that all of my jobs are done to give me a 30-minute window to do these things. So my priority is going to be get this done, do this with the kids, take care of that. Those are the priorities that I have so that I can open up the 30 minutes. Now I've opened up that 30 minutes. How will I go about it? Well, I'm going to buy everything and get it ready, and I'm going to open up this desk, and I'm going to put them all there so they're just ready to go, and every single day when I sit down, I can do those, and that's what my timeline is. That's how I'm going to go about it. I'll know that I'm on pace because at the end of every single day, I will have 10 cards written. Now, again, if you get to December 9th and you have 0 cards written, if your goal guessed, you're going to readjust your goal. If you're goal setting, you're going to say, you know what, things didn't go the way they want. So now what I need to do is I need to block off a lot of time because I've got 100 cards to write within 24 hours. That's how you goal set. That's how you get it done. So in summary, You want to make sure that you're asking these essential questions. For what purpose was this made? The company or the product, the service, the meeting, etc. For what priorities should we focus on? How will we go about those? Broken down by tasks, timelines, and people. And what will we do to stay on pace, to finish on time, and to measure our progress? AKA, we have to know that we are completing the goal and that it's going to be on time.